The former FBI director and another Trump foe pleaded not guilty to lying to Congress during a Senate hearing in 2020. Let's bring in Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane now for a little context. Scott, what do you make of what's happened today?
Yeah, CBS News has confirmed, Maurice, that at least one federal criminal charge has been filed in the Eastern District of Virginia, Alexandria, Virginia, against Letitia James. The charge is unclear just yet, but we know she was under investigation and accused by a member of the Trump administration of bank fraud for paperwork she signed while buying her niece a home in Norfolk, Virginia, which is also in the Eastern District of Virginia. She has denied that anything involved with the paperwork for that home purchase was mortgage fraud, but the case was approved by a grand jury in Alexandria, Virginia today. The case then heads to Norfolk, Virginia, which is the area of Virginia where the alleged crime took place. Tish James's case, though, comes not in a vacuum, but it comes just days after President Trump posted on social media to his attorney general that he thought Tish James should be charged with a crime, saying that justice needs to be served. She has been a longtime political rival of the president's. She brought a successful civil suit against then former President Trump in New York. Tish James has, again, denied any wrongdoing in relation to this matter, but the prosecution was handled by Lindsay Halligan. Who is Lindsay Halligan? She is the recently appointed U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. She was a former White House aide for President Trump. She succeeded a different Trump appointee who did not bring forward a case against Letitia James. This is all very similar, Maurice, to what we saw with former FBI Director James Comey. The same grand jury in the same courthouse in Alexandria, Virginia, indicted James Comey on 2 federal charges, to which he pleaded not guilty yesterday. And now it appears they brought forward at least a charge unknown, against Tish James.
Okay, Scott, so now Tish James has to answer the charges at some point. What happens next?
Again, the case is going to shift from Alexandria, Virginia to Norfolk, Virginia. There's different courthouses in Virginia that the Department of Justice operates in. The grand jury was in Alexandria, but the case goes to Norfolk. At some point after this charge surfaces in the court docket, after the indictment is publicly available, there will be some form of an initial or preliminary hearing, potentially an arraignment. That's something that likely happens in a matter of days. The Attorney General of New York would be a criminal defendant of the federal government in Virginia.
Okay, extraordinary to just hear you say those words. Scott MacFarlane, thank you. Let's go to the White House now. Nancy Cordes has been monitoring reaction there. Nancy, what are you hearing?
Maurice, we have asked the White House for official reaction now that Letitia James has been formally indicted. We haven't received it yet, but as you can imagine, the president is going to be thrilled to hear this because he has been pushing his Department of Justice to do exactly what they have done today. You put it up on the screen, that True Social from the president a couple of weeks ago that was directed to his attorney general saying, what about Letitia James? What about James Comey? What about Adam Schiff? These are 3 of his longtime political foes. Why aren't we going after them? They are all, in his words, guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Well, now 2 of the 3 of those individuals are being indicted. And the president was asked the other day, Maurice, whether he fears that what is seen by many as his interference, putting his thumb on the scale, urging his own Department of Justice to go after these individuals, in some cases years after the incidents that he has construed as crimes. He says that he doesn't think that that is a problem, that he is well within his rights to do it, to say it, that in his view, these individuals are criminal actors and need to face the consequences. And when asked whether he thinks that it's going to be problematic for prosecutors as they try to proceed with these cases, he says he doesn't believe that that's going to be a problem, and he is simply exercising his First Amendment rights.
And Nancy, when critics call this an act of political retribution, or at least when they said that about the James Comey indictment, what are folks at the White House saying, other than the president? What are they saying behind the scenes?
They typically point to people who were allies, are allies of President Trump, even President Trump himself, who were prosecuted, who were taken to court for various things over the past 10 years. And they would argue that that this is simply turnabout being fair play. They say that the president and people around him have been targeted for years, and now this is simply the other side facing the music. They believe that these are legitimate cases that need to see their day in court, even if the people who are being targeted, like James Comey has said, they insist that these are trumped-up charges and an example of the president interfering with the legal process to try to get revenge.
Makes one wonder what happens next here. Okay, Nancy Cordes at the White House, thank you. Let's come back to Justice Correspondent Scott McFarland. You had a comparison here, Scott, to the Comey situation. What do you have?
Yeah, when you ask what's going to happen next, Maurice, you can take a look at the very symmetrical case against James Comey, who was mentioned in that same Truth Social post as Letitia James. James Comey yesterday, when he was arraigned in the federal court, not only pleaded not guilty, but his defense attorney said they are going to file a motion to get the case dismissed, arguing vindictive, selective prosecution. You can go to any federal courthouse in America and you'll find defendants each day saying they're being selectively or vindictively prosecuted. But this one, they argue, is different. The president name-checked these individuals to his attorney general, and in a matter of days, a hand-selected federal prosecutor with a close allegiance to the president herself went into the grand jury and secured an indictment. The U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan did indeed successfully execute her argument. The grand jury found there was reason to hand up an indictment, but there could be a different type of case here, Maurice, a different type of argument for selective prosecution. James Comey's argument will be submitted to the court by October 20th.
Okay, Scott McFarland, thank you so much for that. It is easier to indict someone than it is to convict them. We'll keep that in mind as we watch this going forward. Once again, New York's Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted by a federal grand jury. No specific charge has been listed just yet, but our coverage will continue on CBS News 24/7, your local news, and tonight on the CBS Evening News. This has been a CBS News Special Report. I'm Maurice Dubois. We'll see you later.
And we are continuing to follow that breaking news. The clerk of the Court of Eastern Virginia says a grand jury has officially indicted New York Attorney General Letitia James. Now, we're going to continue to follow this breaking news, but as we mentioned earlier, this is coming as one of Donald Trump is putting pressure on his Attorney General to prosecute his quote, enemies. We're going to stay on top of this breaking news story and bring you the very latest right here on CBS News 24/7.
No matter how you start your day, one thing is very clear.
CBS Mornings is the best way to start your day.
You better work! Clearly.
We welcome you to CBS Mornings. I'm Gail King.
I'm Tony Nicole. I'm Nate Burleson.
Let's go.
CBS Mornings is clearly smart.
Is this a different way of doing philanthropy?
Rent at an affordable level and invest.
Could this change the way that we think about vaccines?
CBS Mornings is clearly fun. Don't you bow to your emperor.
She said,
hello, Miss Badass. We go from one badass to another.
Good morning!
It's like, yes, it's finally happening.
You meet the nicest people in our progressive green room. Guess who's here?
Jeff!
CBS Mornings is clearly uplifting.
I get goosebumps when I think about this game.
It just warms your heart. I feel alive. You will too.
We'll see you
On CBS Mornings.
Weekdays at 7. Have a sunshiny day.
Fire away. You know me, man.
UFC's no-holds-barred leader. It's time for Dana White.
Yeah, I get it. We're on 60 Minutes. Wow.
When you need your sports in us now,
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.
This is CBS.
Don't miss
miss true crime anytime you want, anywhere you go with the 48 Hours podcast. Real crimes, real lives.
Like a John Grisham novel come to life.
Real justice.
There's some questions that have to be asked and need to be answered.
Listen to 48 Hours on Apple Podcasts.
The all-new CBS Evening News.
Lay is facing up to $1 million in tariff payments this year alone.
Joling, is Lay going to be able to keep her workers under these conditions?
We don't have the same options as large businesses.
Can your business survive this?
If this is the end of my American dream, I'm going to go down swinging.
I'm Major Garrett in Washington, inviting you to the Takeout. Politics, policy, people, and pop culture served up weeknights. What's on the menu? Plenty. The day's happenings with curiosity and formality and humor. It's serious discussion, but we do not take ourselves too seriously. Who is a better speaker, Mike Johnson or you? Oh, come on. Join me on the Takeout. Streaming right here on CBS News 24/7.
We are following this breaking news. The clerk of the Court of Eastern Virginia says a grand jury has indicted New York Attorney General Letitia James. Let's bring in Rebecca Roiphe, who is a CBS News legal contributor. Thank you so much for being with us, Rebecca. First, give us tell us a little bit about Letitia James. Who is she, and why are these charges being filed against her? Why is she being indicted?
So New York Attorney General Letitia James brought the civil case against for the President Donald Trump after his first term. And that case concerned questions about whether he had inflated the worth of certain properties to get kind of advantages in terms of bank loans and tax advantages in certain other loans. And so that case was long ongoing, and she ultimately won a very large verdict, which is, I think, still currently under appeal. But she has been a target of the president since then. And, you know, to be fair, she did run for her current position on a campaign in which she suggested that going after Donald Trump was one of her priorities, which was largely considered by legal experts at the time fairly inappropriate.
So tell us a little bit about the location of this indictment. Why is that significant?
It is extremely significant. This is the same district that brought the charges against Jim Comey just recently. And what happened was there was a U.S. attorney in that jurisdiction who was a Trump appointee who had, you know, very much given to his career to the priorities of the Trump administration, but refused to bring those charges against James Comey. He was summarily fired after that. And at that point, President Trump put in place Lindsay Halligan, who was his personal attorney, has no experience in criminal practice, and was, I believe, an insurance attorney, and whom he had met at one point at Mar-a-Lago. And, you know, that raised a lot of red flags at the time. The career prosecutors did not want to bring that case against James Comey, and neither did the U.S. Attorney Eric Siebert, who was subsequently fired. And so Lindsay Halligan brought the charges against James Comey shortly after that Truth Social post that he had put up that said that he demanded the indictment of, you know, a whole list of his enemies, including Letitia James, James Comey, and Adam Schiff. And so it looks like she is now currently doing his bidding, and whether that's happening or not, it certainly has that appearance given the sequence of events.
Now, an indictment is one thing, formal charges are another, and actually conviction is a whole nother thing. How likely is that going to happen with Letitia James, do you think?
Right. So we do not know. I haven't seen the indictment. I don't know the strength of the charges. She was being investigated for insurance fraud having to do with a Virginia property that she was buying for her niece, that she suggested apparently on the application, or at one point, that it was going to be her primary residence. Her lawyers have claimed subsequently that she quickly corrected that. And so if that's the basis for the charge of bank fraud, then that you know, may or may not have significant proof that she committed this crime. But we will see, because as you say, bringing an indictment, one only needs a very low threshold of probable cause. And in order to get a conviction, you need proof beyond a reasonable doubt, which is a very high standard. And yet to be seen. There will also be motions, as there will be in the James Comey case, I'm sure, suggesting that this selective prosecution, that she's being targeted because of her political views, which, is normally an huge long shot, but given the fact that there was this public post by the president, which is so unusual, it may, along with this, what happened with the former U.S. attorney, there may be a stronger case than there would normally be, at least for that kind of motion practice.
So you believe, because James Comey's case is moving forward now, that the two might actually have an impact on one another? Now the case against Letitia James?
Well, I don't think that they would have an impact on one another, but I do think that that there will be parallel motions filed in these cases, and that, potentially the fact that both of these were filed so quickly after Lindsay Halligan was put in place may, tend to support that inference that they were being targeted because of their political views.
And I think it's worth reminding our viewers, who is Lindsay Halligan? She's new to this job.
Right. She is new to this job and she is new to this practice. And I think those are both extremely important things. She's new to the job. And, right after she took this position, she then brought the charges against James Comey, and then shortly after these charges. And so it does certainly look like she is doing exactly what the president wants her to do, which is in breach of the normal independence of the Department of Justice, which is so vital for our liberties and for the rule of law. So it certainly looks like that. And I think, her lack of experience is also telling, because those with a long institutional knowledge have a strong commitment to this notion that lawyers within the Department of Justice, prosecutors within the Department of Justice, they are not the president's lawyers. They owe their obligation to the public. And as such, they have to do justice rather than doing the president's bidding. But somebody who doesn't have that tradition, that practice, that sense of institutional knowledge and ethics of those offices may not fully understand the importance of those principles. And they are not just niceties or etiquette. Those principles are at the very bedrock of the rule of law. They are extremely important, and they are how this country upholds fairness in criminal process and the rule of law.
And could you go over again the specifics of this indictment?
Yeah. So, as far as I know, there is one count of bank fraud, and this is at least reportedly. I haven't seen the indictment. Yes, it's all very new, but that charge is based on an allegation of insurance fraud that arises out, or at least that was the underlying investigation, out of a property that she purchased in Virginia for her niece, I believe, and the investigation was into whether or not she lied about this being her primary residence, and that would have constituted a kind of insurance bank fraud that could have formed the basis for this charge.
So now this indictment has been filed, what's next?
So what's next is she will be arraigned, and that is a sort of a formality, and she will plead, most likely she will plead not guilty. We won't learn much more at the arraignment, but shortly after that, there will be motions to dismiss, and as I said, motions suggesting this is selective or vindictive prosecution, I'm sure. And after that, there will be a lot of discovery, and during the discovery, the defense team will learn more about what the government's case is. It's the position of her lawyers, or at least that's been their public position, that she quickly corrected this statement. And if so, that somewhat at least undercuts the strength of the government's case if it turns out that that's true.
And I'm curious, the president mentioned that he wants the attorney general to go after his enemies. Senator Adam Schiff could be next on this list. What charges could he be facing?
Yeah, so there are a number of investigations going on. He could be facing charges. There are others who are who are reputedly being investigated for various different charges, and it remains to be seen whether or not this will continue. This will continue to go in the direction that he demanded.
And we'll be watching. Thank you so much. Major Garrett is next with the Takeout.
The all-new CBS Evening News.
Lay is facing up to $1 million in tariff payments this year alone.
Joling, is Lay going to be able to keep her workers under these conditions?
We don't have the same options as large businesses.
Can your business survive this?
If this is the end of my American dream, I'm going to go down swinging.
Sunday morning, curtain going up on the new season. Jennifer Lopez's new movie, Keanu Reeves on Broadway, and more. Listen for the trumpet.
Live now.
Here we go.
The ultimate tradition continues.
From what I've seen, it's like chaos.
America's #1 news program is now a free streaming channel with full episodes anytime.
Hey, let's go.
60 minutes. Is this what you want?
You're willing to talk about anything. I'm open to all of it.
The hardest hitting interviews.
The former president is known to watch 60 Minutes. If he's watching, what would you want to say to him?
Here, Bill, look at this.
The most influential people.
Who's the best coach in college football?
Let me see a mirror so I can look at it.
Are you a billionaire yet?
None of your business. Ain't you trying to get me robbed?
Exclusive investigations.
Am I getting a real look at what life is like in here today? Absolutely not.
Do you think people visiting know that these were looted?
For stories that impact our lives, 60 Minutes demands answers.
To those holding American hostages, you say what?
So many American officials are being targeted. Why is it not a bigger issue?
What is the most important takeaway for our audience?
What is your role in all of this?
How big of a problem is doping?
Where was the military?
Why are people suspicious?
That sounds like a problem.
How is this possible?
Oh, come on.
Whoa.
Wow.
What is going on?
I'm Scott Pelley.
I'm John Worth.
I'm Leslie Stahl.
I'm Bill Whitaker.
I'm Sharon Alfonsi.
I'm Cecilia Vega.
I'm Anderson Cooper.
This is 60 Minutes.
The CBS News original.
Showtime, baby.
It's time for 60 Minutes. Watch anytime.
To be moderator of Face the Nation means bringing the most powerful stakeholders to the table to become better informed.
When do consumers actually get to touch and feel a difference in their lives?
Ready?
Yeah. You ready?
And 1, 2, 3. Hey!
I can see clearly now.
Look at his outfit. Amazing. Give me some love, baby.
We got a toy. Look at this.
Oh, no!
Time for another quick meal you can make any night of the week.
We've got tips to save on clothes, tech,
And more.
How I got here is nothing short of like a miracle.
Talent.
Talent.
It's gonna be alright. It's a bright, bright, bright way to start your day.
See you.
On CBS Mornings.
The CBS Evening News. Not like anything else on TV.
If people are watching this, what do you want to tell them?
We need help.
When your husband had a heart attack, if you had to go to the next closest hospital, how long would that take?
Over a half an hour.
The CBS Evening News. Stories that affect you.
It's a fast-moving story at a fast moment.
Plus, more depth.
A really big week for Wall Street.
Plus, more context.
Why are premiums expected to rise by so much?
CBS Evening News Plus, streaming.
New York Attorney General Letitia James indicted, another foe of President Trump in legal hot water. House Speaker Mike Johnson on the Middle East peace deal, the government shutdown, military pay, air traffic controller shortages, and rising health care premiums. Hamas said today the war in Gaza has ended permanently. That's a quote. Yet there was Hamas gunfire and an Israeli airstrike. We discussed with Israel's ambassador to the United States. Hello, everyone. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. Welcome to The Takeout. We begin with some very new news. A grand jury in Virginia moments ago indicted New York Attorney General Letitia James. We don't know the number or the specificity of those charges. If in the course of this show we find out, I promise you we will let you know. For some background, as a candidate for Attorney General, James vowed to investigate Donald Trump. She brought and won a civil fraud case against Trump, his adult sons, and the Trump Organization. Trump was ordered to pay $355 million in penalties for inflating property values, among other issues. James now joins former FBI Director James Comey as perceived enemies of the president charged by his Justice Department. We start with CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman, who joins me now from the Broadcast Center in New York. Katrina, this has just broken. Tell us what we know.
As of now, we know that this grand jury has indicted Letitia James on
one charge. We do not yet know what the details of that charge are. We are working hard to find that out. But we do know that she was being investigated for potential mortgage fraud. That included possible allegations of wire fraud, mail fraud, bank fraud. So it could be any of these things, Major. And we know that Trump has been wanting this to happen. Just yesterday, there was the arraignment of James Comey, as you were talking about. Letitia James has been in his crosshairs ever since the New York civil fraud trial, which I sat through with both of them in that room. It really hit home for him that she came after his properties, that she claimed that he falsified his business records, the values of his property. So if this is in fact linked to a mortgage issue, it is also him taking that back in her direction. And this is also potentially action that happened when Letitia James was as a private citizen, not in her professional capacity, if it's what we think that it might be.
And Katrina, the jurisdiction here, Eastern District of Virginia, as I understand it, this regards a mortgage transaction possibly in Virginia with a niece of Letitia James. Do I have that correct?
I mean, that's our understanding of what was being investigated, that there was a power of attorney document that misstated that it was Letitia James' primary residence, although there is also documentation of an email that she sent to a lawyer where she clarified that it was not, in fact, that residence, that she was signing that document to support the loan for her niece, is our understanding.
Katrina Kaufman, thank you very much. And if we learn the specificity of the charge, I know you'll come back and let us know. Thank you so very, very much.